Hi everyone, welcome to another Elixir Kitchen cooking and nutrition demonstration. We are so excited that you were able to join us. We have a very great, wonderful class. Just a big thanks again to Marcia and Cheryl from Health Canada for that wonderful presentation on food safety. If you didn't have a chance to watch it, there will be a recording of the presentation that we will post on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out afterwards. But without further ado, we're going to jump right into our cooking nutrition demonstration. So hello again, my name is Jeremy Capone. I am the wellness chef, and joining me as always, the amazing Daniela Ferini. Hello, Daniela.
Hi, Jeremy. Good to see you in the kitchen over there. Yes, I'm excited that we had Marcy and Cheryl join us from Health Canada. Food safety is so important, especially when you have cancer and undergoing cancer treatment. The immune system is weaker. So proper food safety practices is very key in order to avoid serious illness. And so what we're going to do today is highlight some of those food safety practices with the wonderful recipes. Jeremy always has a way of creating these amazing, tantalizing recipes. And so what we're doing today, since I guess it's a few weeks since the Canadian Thanksgiving, but we are going into holiday season. We're going to look at a roast chicken, a whole roast chicken with peanut ginger sauce. The second recipe is pasta al forno with squash, and it also is incorporating leftovers, how to revitalize leftovers. And then our third recipe sounds really interesting. It's almond miso apple scones. So without further ado, just a little intro for our first recipe before we jump into the kitchen with Jeremy. So the first recipe is roasted chicken with peanut ginger sauce. The chicken used in this recipe is a great red meat option that keeps our protein intake up, but also helps us meet our recommendation with World Cancer Authorities that recommend that we reduce our red meat intake to about 18 ounces, 500 grams per week. And if you're wondering what that is, if the palm of our hand is 100 grams, that would be like 5 servings of that, a maximum of 5 servings per week. Safely cooking a whole chicken can be tricky, but it is easy to do if you know what to do. And of course, Jeremy knows what to do, so he can help us out with that. So without further ado, let's hop into the kitchen with Jeremy.
Thank you, Daniela. Okay, so we're going to jump right into this. Like Daniela mentioned, we are using a whole chicken. And what I'm going to do that's a little bit different for this recipe is we're going to prep the chicken in a way in which we can ensure a little bit quicker cooking time, also more even cooking. And it's a butchery term for poultry and chicken. You can do this with turkey as well. It's called spatchcocking. Now, essentially what this means is we are removing the backbone and we're going to press it so that it's flat. So we're removing that sort of cavity, that big cavity in the middle of, when you're cooking a chicken or turkey. And this is going to ensure that everything's going to cook a little more evenly. It's also going to cook a little bit quicker as well, which is great. You can ask your butcher to do this for you. They will absolutely do it. I've even seen it in a lot of grocery stores already done this way, spatchcocked and flattened out. And you'll know, like, it might not be labeled as spatchcocked, but when it's sort of flattened out, then that's the preparation that we're looking for. I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get down to our cutting board. First thing you will notice, I have a cutting board, our yellow cutting board, that I use specifically for butchering my raw meat. And this is a great tip to avoid cross-contamination, is try to have, a couple, 2 or 3 different cutting boards, maybe one that you use for only, produce and vegetables and that sort of prep, one that you use for your raw meat preparation, and then one that you use for cooked items, right? So your breads, maybe, something that's cooked, vegetables or fruit that's cooked, or fruit that you're going to eat And that way you're not using the same cutting board and then potentially causing a sort of cross-contamination situation. Okay, so chicken. What we're gonna do first, we have our whole chicken here. You can pat it dry with a paper towel. We are not washing this chicken. This may be something that you grew up with. I definitely grew up with the wash chicken. I was in the wash chicken camp. Daniela, I'm sure you were as well.
Yes. I was.
Her recommendations suggest do not wash your chicken because that can actually spread bacteria around your sink. You can spread bacteria around your kitchen. Even a small droplet that you might not notice can land on your fridge or on your other countertop, right? So, and that can be a breeding ground for bacteria and potential foodborne illness. So no washing chicken, just pat it dry. It is going to cook as long as you cook it properly in the oven, then you don't have anything to worry about. Okay, so our chicken, we're going to flip upside down and the breast side on the cutting board and sort of the back side facing up. And you can do this much easier with kitchen shears where you could just cut the backbone right out. If I don't have kitchen shears, then what I'm going to do is use my knife and right on the side of the backbone, I'm just going to create a guideline all the way down. It's not going to cut through, but it will cut through the skin, and it's going to create sort of a guideline of what I want to remove. So you can see that there. We have those two lines down the back, and now I can sort of prop it up a little bit, and then very gently, I can just use my knife and just cut through following that guideline. It takes a little bit of pressure, but it shouldn't take too much because we're cutting through some of the smaller bones. Now, again, if this is something that you're not comfortable doing, definitely ask your butcher to do it for you. And this is something that you can definitely get done in that. So we're just going to cut through, and then essentially we just remove that backbone piece. This you can absolutely save. This will make fantastic stock. So you can put this in a freezer bag, pop it in your freezer until you're ready to make stock. But essentially what we have now is the backbone removed and that cavity is now opened. Okay, so one more step to flatten it. We're going to put it on the other side. So now breast side up. Okay, and then very gently with my palm right in the middle of that breastbone, I'm just going to push down. Okay, and what this is going to do is not to be graphic, but it's going to break that breastbone, and so that it flattens out. And you should hear that little break just by flattening it with your palm. That's pretty much it. So now we have our flattened piece of chicken. The wings you can tuck underneath. And this ensures that because everything is facing up, we have our legs, we have our breast facing up, you're not going to get a situation where you're overcooking the breast, still waiting for the legs to be done, and that dries out. And you know, when the legs have hit that internal temperature we're looking for, it's sort of unevenly cooked, right? So this is going to cook evenly, but it's also going to cook quicker as well. All right, so I'm going to put this on my baking tray, and we'll wash up cutting board.
So while Jeremy's washing up, I think this is a great point to talk about the importance of washing our hands and washing our utensils and our equipment. And so with washing our hands carefully, you know, always with soap and water for at least 20 seconds before and after handling raw meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs. There is information on Health Canada website. There's also information on proper hand washing through our University Health Network group, which of course was very key during COVID. And also what Jeremy is doing now is probably cleaning all the equipment he used, the knife he used. And we also want to make sure that you clean the work surfaces. And sometimes, especially with chicken like this, because we're concerned about bacteria, especially salmonella in this situation, you also want to sanitize with a mild bleach solution. And I know that Marcy and Cheryl discussed it in the presentation beforehand, but I'll just give you a quick reminder that it's combining about 5 mils or a teaspoon of bleach. And I like using my hands, right? So a teaspoon of bleach is about the size of the tip of my thumb. That amount in 3 cups of water, 750 mils, gives you a lovely diluted bleach solution. You could put that in a spray bottle, and then you can spray that on the surfaces where you use the raw chicken. And then you want to clean it with plenty of water. And let it air dry, or use a clean towel, which you just saw Jeremy pop in with his clean towel, just cleaning things up again and getting ready for the next part of this recipe. Oh, there's the solution.
Yes, we're just wiping down, just like Daniela mentioned, using our sanitizer solution. Clean our station. Really important anytime we're using raw meat. Poultry. And
always have a lot of clean dish towels around, right? So when in doubt, just throw it over to the side for throwing into the laundry, and grab a new set of clean dish towels.
Yes, I actually worked with a chef who said to me that you should be changing your dish towels at the same frequency you change your underwear, which was a comment, but sometimes we hold on to our dish towels for way too long. They can be such a huge breeding ground for bacteria, so try to change them as often as possible. If you can do it daily, that would be the recommendation. Okay.
But definitely, if you're dealing with raw chicken, you probably want to do it a bit more often.
Yes, that absolutely. But even just in general, right?
In general, yeah.
Okay, so we have our chicken prepped in our baking tray, ready to go, and it's down here. We're going to add a little marinade to this. So quickly for our marinade, we have some garlic. I've got 2 cloves of garlic minced. I have some ginger, about a tablespoon of ginger minced. There. Also, one thing I'll quickly mention as well, Daniela did talk about washing hands. If you're using gloves, so I did have a glove that I was using as I was, working with the chicken. It's not good enough just to wash that glove. You do want to remove that glove, wash your hands properly, and if you are going to use another glove, you have to change it and use a different glove. So I just want to mention that as well.
Excellent point, Jeremy.
All right, so
sometimes people forget that they're wearing gloves, and that in and of itself can be a breeding ground for cross-contamination. So it's important to change it frequently too. Yes.
Absolutely, yes. All right, so we have our ginger, we have our garlic. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons. This is a very juicy lime. I thought I was going to use the whole thing, but don't need it. So about 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And if you want, these are chili flakes. These are like a milder chili flake, so this is optional. You don't have to add it. I want to add a little bit. Fine. And a little bit of olive oil. About 2 tablespoons. So about 2 tablespoons of the lime juice, 2 tablespoons of the olive oil, ginger, garlic. Chili is optional. We'll also add a little pinch of salt. All right. We'll mix this up. And pour this over the chicken. Now, if you want a longer marination time, you can absolutely do this. the day before, just wrap this all up in saran wrap and keep it in the refrigerator. We're going to cook ours right away. And so we're going to put this into the oven. Spread it around. We're going to put this into the oven, 425 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. So the cooking time is a little bit quicker because we have spatchcock here. And when we're taking it out, do our magic swap here.
The magic of television. While Jeremy's doing that, I'll just, oh, okay. I'll save my tip for later.
I'll do it quick and then I'll throw it back to you, Danielle. So our chicken is beautifully roasted, really nice and crispy on the outside. The marinade smells amazing. This is when we would use our fancy food thermometer. Really, really important, especially when cooking poultry, that we do check for the internal temperature to make sure that it is cooked all the way through. If we're using a whole chicken, I'll mention whole chicken first, like if it wasn't spatchcock, then you're looking for 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Daniela, what's the conversion there?
82 Celsius.
82 Celsius, beautiful. If it's chicken pieces, like if you just have the thighs, the legs, or the breast, then we're looking at 165 internal, which is I believe 74 degrees Celsius. I should know the metric. I use the Fahrenheit and switch back and forth, but there you go. Because this is spatchcock, because it does not have a cavity inside, it is flattened out and essentially in pieces. We can check the thickest part with our digital thermometer, the thickest part of the breast. We don't want to go near any of the bones, so we're going to the thickest part of the breast, make sure that it's reaching at least 165. And then the joint in between the leg and the breast there, the rest of the cavity. And we're looking at if we're doing whole chicken, we want to make sure it's hitting that 180. Here we're hitting that 180, but in the thigh, in the leg, thickest part, looking at 165 there as well. And you're ready to go. So I'll throw it to you while I get the remaining ingredients and we'll finish up this tasty recipe.
Sure. So sticking on the theme of the digital thermometer, the other important thing is that you always clean that digital food thermometer in warm soapy water between temperature readings. So that is something that is easy to forget. So each time you test, you want to clean it with warm soapy water. And you may also want to look at the manufacturer directions to make sure you're doing things properly for that specific thermometer, especially if you get a really high-tech one.
All right, so we're moving on to our little cabbage served with the chicken. Some green cabbage we're using here. You can use Napa cabbage, you can use red cabbage. And again, you can see I'm using my prep cutting board, different color. This is what I would typically use when prepping vegetables and other produce. So we're just going to thinly slice this cabbage. Put it in our bowl. And
cabbage is another underrated vegetable, I think, sometimes. But it definitely does have a lot of health protective nutrients for us.
yeah, I love cabbage. It's usually not too expensive. Like in terms of the vegetables, one of the more reasonably priced. And you can get a big head and use it for different applications, which is wonderful. I'm going to throw some red onion in there. You can throw other vegetables in here as well, get creative. I'm just doing the cabbage and onion, keeping it simple. And I have a little chopped cilantro in here as well, which I love. I know not everyone likes it, so if you don't like it, don't worry, you don't have to use it. And the rest of that lime all over. So just lime. You can use vinegar too if you don't have lime, just a little bit of acid. we're gonna make a separate dressing for everything. Sort of pull all the flavors together. Salt. We'll put that to the side. Now, to finish off our peanut ginger dressing. All right. We have our nice mise en place ready to go. We're starting off with, I'm going to make this in a mason jar. I actually saw someone, which I think is an amazing idea. Anytime you run out of the peanut butter, you use it all. A great way to not make anything go to waste, right? So you still have a little bit of the peanut butter sort of scraped to the sides and the bottom. Use this to make your dressing. You put all your ingredients in here, you shake it all up, you get all those last little bits of the peanut butter, and then you can use that for your dressing, which I think is fantastic. I still have quite a bit in here, so I'm not going to do that. But we're going to use a little mason jar. I have a couple tablespoons of water. I have a couple tablespoons of soy sauce. You can use tamari. I have a tablespoon of maple syrup. I have 2 teaspoons of ginger. You can use more if you really like ginger. I think the ginger is the star in this dressing for sure. I'm going to use a little bit of lime juice here. A couple tablespoons. Right, and few tablespoons, maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of peanut butter. You can use almond butter if you want, if you prefer.
Not to put you on the spot, Jeremy, but I'm curious, the type of peanut butter you're using. Is it an natural
Yes.
peanut butter? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a peanut butter. So you're pretty much looking at the ingredients, and there shouldn't be anything other than dry roasted peanuts.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So when you're buying peanut butter, the healthier brands are the ones that are just peanuts. That way you're getting some excellent plant protein, healthy fats and fiber, and it's low in sugar.
All right. We're going to shake this up. Lid on. And give it a shake. So make sure everything goes together.
That's a great little workout.
Oh man, it's realize if you're out of shape, this is taking the breath out of you, which it is for me. I gotta do some more salad dressings, I think, at home. Beautiful, awesome, nice dressing. And again, what's nice is I can use what I want for this recipe, put the rest in the fridge. Okay, let's plate. Have our plates. Got my little cabbage and onion, which I'm going to put as the base here. Really nice and crunchy. I love the color of the red onion on top as well. And like really simple, you know, just a little bit of cabbage, a little bit of onion. Okay, goes a long way there for sure. We have roasted chicken.
And it brings us back to building that healthy plate, Canada's Food Guide healthy plate, with about half the plate is your veggies, and then a quarter of the plate is your protein food, whether it's animal protein or plant protein. In this case, it's the chicken. So a lot of people ask us about type of chicken to use. Do we need to get organic chicken? And mostly that's related to the fears of added growth hormones to our meat production in Canada. But it's important to know that there are no added growth hormones for poultry and pork and dairy cattle. Added growth hormones are added to beef cattle, but definitely not dairy cattle, poultry, and pork. So not to worry about that. And from an organic perspective, it's a personal choice. It's a bit more expensive to go organic, but that is more of a personal choice. From a a health perspective and a cancer preventive perspective, Canadian chicken is fine to have.
Wonderful. Thanks, Daniela. So we're just finishing this up. We just cut off a piece of that roasted chicken, put it right on top of that really nice little cabbage, and just finishing it with some of this really tasty peanut dressing. Some on the plate as well. And there we have it. That is
It looks gorgeous. And just to bring us back to the Canada's Healthy Plate, you know, it may look like this piece of chicken is larger than a quarter of the plate, but remember it has the bone in it, so it's a little deceiving. Yeah, looks gorgeous.
Wonderful. All right.